Hello, everyone, and welcome back inside of Destiny, the Taken King. Nick here with Degenerate Gaming, and today I wanted to talk about Trials of Osiris. It will be back sometime around uh, 1 o'clock Central Time, which is my time zone. Basically, it's 8 o'clock now while I'm recording, so, about 5 hours, 4 to 5 hours from now. So I wanted to talk about a few things. I wanted to look at some weapons and some gear that you might possibly want to take into trials, and specifically the weapons. Um, I am going to mainly play on my Warlock, just as I really don't have a whole lot of gear leveled up for the other classes. Um, I obviously will be running Sunsinger. Um, if you do have a Warlock, you are going to want to run Heart of the Praxic Fire. Voidfang Vestments is also going to be a good one. You could also might want to switch in between those two, depending on the situation. Heart of the Praxic Fire will do wonders. Gives you that second fusion grenade, increased armor with a solar subclass, more shotgun ammo, and I believe I can switch that. And you might even have snipers or something, in that spot, which can be a big deal here. Anyways, moving over to the weapons. Or wait, excuse me, before I forget, also things that you might want to consider if you're using the Warlock would be Light Beyond Nemesis, as you supers generate extra orbs, revive and be revived faster from teammates. Also, the Stag is an interesting one. I'm sure we'll see some of that today in trials. Once per life, super fast supercharge when all teammates die. Chance to spawn with an overshield. I'm sure people will be running both of these as far as Warlocks if they don't have either of the chest pieces. In my opinion, if you have Heart of the Praxic Fire, there's no reason to even think of running either of these helmets. Probably the best case scenario is Heart of the Praxic Fire. Very useful for the Sunsinger class. Anyways, moving to the weapons. Some of the weapons you probably are going to want to use, depending on your play style. I'm not going to go over too many auto rifles here because I don't really think that a lot of people will be using auto rifles. But if you were, I'm sure people will be using the Supercell, things like the Suros regime. I'm sure we'll get some play for those few people that are using auto rifles. And then for hand cannons, the only one I really see that's even worth using is Hawkmoon. The rest of them really have kind of just went downhill after all the nerfs. Plus, you get 13, which is a huge mag size, well enough to kill an entire team. And then you also get 3 lucky bullets, which coincidentally you have 3 opponents. This is just a monster of a hand cannon still, and definitely in my eyes is the only one the only one worth using. So if you like hand cannons, this is definitely the one you're going to want to go with. Now, getting a little more in depth here, we're going to talk about some scout rifles. I have the Hung Jury, which has triple tap and a couple other things. This is the vendor bought version. This thing is pretty useful. Extended mag, hand laid stock. As you can see, almost takes that stability up to the range. This thing is a laser. That will possibly get a lot of play. Also, I have Treads Upon Stars, and I know there's a lot of different types of this weapon because of the roll, but as you can see, mine has Hidden Hand. I've seen it with Zen Moment, other things like that. Definitely, depending on your build and how high you have this gun leveled up, makes it worth using. Also interesting is if you are playing Sunsinger, which I'm assuming that most Warlocks will be, and you have the Tlaloc, you also want to think about using this. Because, again, you overflow. You get so many perks from this gun as far as fire rate, reload speed, your general agility, movement speed. Very, very worthwhile as far as scout rifles go. And we'll talk about pulse rifles next. Um, Nerwin's Mercy's definitely one to have, as this is, obviously the Lord Saladin bought version. It has Third Eye, it has Outlaw, very useful to see that radar going, into trials, aiming down sights. Uh, we have Apple of Discord, which is another good one. This is the vendor bought version as well. It has Head Seeker and full auto. I already did a review on this gun. Love this thing. Definitely need to go pick that up if you haven't done that yet. And I brought in No Time to Explain. I actually just got this yesterday through the quest, and I know a lot of people really like the Stranger's rifle. I haven't had a chance to really upgrade it, but it does have full auto. It also has a few different perks here: hand loaded, fitted stock, speed reload, and then it says rewind again. Precision hits are immediately returned to the magazine. So I'm sure that people will definitely give this some play too, as it really demands some. I'm not going to recommend using Touch of Malice, just because really the health component, where you're losing health at that last bullet, really doesn't make up for the DPS here in, excuse me, in trials. You're going to want to keep your health as high as possible. I'm not really going to be recommending any raid primaries. Maybe the Doom of Klexus if you have it, but I don't know if that's really worth the while. There's a lot better options as far as scout rifles go. And before I forget, going back to pulse rifles, obviously two exotics that I currently don't have. Bad Juju, Red Death, also going to be very good as well inside of Trials of Osiris. You will probably see those two being used more than anything. Now, moving to special weapons. We're going to talk first fusion rifles. I really don't think fusion rifles will get a whole lot of play, but if you are one of them crazy bastards who loves fusion rifles, I would pick Telesto or the Darkblade Spite, which I currently don't have, because of its crazy impact. The Telesto is good because you can kind of chain things from enemy to enemy. If you catch two in a group, you can kind of deal damage to both of them. The Darkblade Spite has insane impact that's all the way up there. So if you do have that, you might think about using it if you're really in love with fusion rifles. I, however, am really biased and cannot stand fusion rifles. The only one I even keep around is Telesto, just to say that I have it. Shotguns. There's two types of shotguns. One is going to be worth your while in trials. The other one probably is not going to be so good. This is your typical one-banger shotgun, Conspiracy Theory D. Really high impact. Best range you could possibly get, and this one you get from a quest. So everybody should have it, unless you were foolish and broke it down. But either way, you have this style of shotgun, really well worth your while. And I'm going to kind of go off the wall here and say the only high rate of fire shotgun I would recommend would be the Invective, and here's why. One, you get final round in a magazine of 4, and typically it's going to take at least 2 shots to kill with this weapon, which means you can probably get at least 2 kills in a magazine, possibly 3 with that final round. But Invective says this weapon regenerates ammo over time, which could be very useful. If you're like me, you're running on a special quite a bit, especially when you're using shotguns. And you have Send It, you can increase the range and other things. Definitely some different things you could do with this weapon. However, I think if I'm gonna go with shotguns, I'm gonna probably pick Conspiracy Theory D, because it is 3v3 elimination style. It's going to be a lot more one-on-one matchups, and most people aren't going to be running shotguns to begin with. We're going to talk about sidearms next. Really, there's only one option here, and it's the Iron Wraith D. This thing, really, because all the stats of sidearms are basically cut and paste. None of them really stand out. They're all the exact same. If you use sidearms the way they're meant to be used, this is what you're going to want as far as perks. You know, it's just an all-around good sidearm to use. It has Zen Moment, Hot Swap, Snapshot, Quick Draw, Reinforced Barrel to increase that range a little bit. This isn't a class by itself as far as the sidearms go, just because of the perks and everything synergizes really well with this weapon. I haven't really gave it a whole lot of use. I've played with it a little bit, but from my experience using other sidearms, this really is the only one that is worth using. Now, getting to the main point, we are going to talk about snipers. Now, everyone's baby, the 1,000-yard stare. I've seen this weapon all over the place. Everyone's got at least one from the quest. I've got about 2 in each flavor with different perks on them. Things you're going to want to look for in this is, as you can see, I have mulligan here. I have perfect balance. I have triple tap. But you can get this with hidden hand. And that is something you're going to want to look for. I believe the void one you get from the quest has hidden hand on it. Anything with hidden hand as far as snipers go that give you improved target acquisition, you're going to want. This rate of fire and impact profile is going to allow you to snipe off of res. It has a high enough rate of fire to where you can actually, accomplish that. It's got good enough impact to mow down that overshield. A lot of people are going to be using this. There are other options, though. You can use Black Spindle. I really wouldn't see why, if you have a 1,000-yard stare sitting there, especially if you have hidden hand on your 1,000-yard stare. The Black Spindle is obviously setting its perks, and there's no chance of that getting any better. You can see it's got a little more impact, but the rate of fire is really what's going to kill you. You have your Tao Han Yan, which is the Crucible Sniper. As you can see, that is your higher rate of fire, lower impact. There's really no reason to use this. Most people are going to be sticking with one of these two options. Now, I want to talk about a couple of other interesting options that some people might not have. The Irene RR4. If you were lucky enough to get this with Arms Day with Luck in the Chamber, this thing will one-hit body shot enemies, because as you can see, it's got a shade more impact, and that is what you're looking for as far as snipers. If you're going to be sniping off res, it's got the rate of fire. You lack a little bit in the range stability and reload, but I think you can live with that, because one random bullet in the magazine causes considerable bonus damage. This thing is going to be a killer, and if you are lucky enough to have it and keep it, and you got it with this roll with Luck in the Chamber, you are going to be doing some damage, and it's going to be ridiculous. It's definitely going to be the one that I'm running for sure. Also, another option, Hereafter. Xur sold this a few weeks back, and if you have this thing fully upgraded, where is it? Blinding Light. Precision kills with this weapon have a chance to cause a bright flash that can blind nearby enemies. This is actually pretty cool, and I know when I was in Iron Banner, I would get this blind flash of light, and I couldn't see shit. I would usually end up getting killed shortly thereafter, because you're just basically flying blind. And, this thing could be very useful. So it's an interesting item to have. I highly doubt I will use it, but I'm sure some people will. If it's your option, I would recommend it. It's really not that bad as far as snipers go. Impact is a little bit less. You get more of a fire rate. If you don't have a 1,000-yard stare or an Irene or a Spindle, I would say it is a close fourth. Let's move to some heavies. I have the objection. I love this machine gun. It is basically like a Thunderlord, and we'll equip Thunderlord here and kind of compare this. As you can see, now I know Thunderlord has a stability perk, which I just got my Thunderlord not too long ago, so I really haven't leveled any of it up. But yeah, it has perfect balance. again, this objection, very good. I actually have another roll on this where it's a little bit less than 300 attack, but it also has rangefinder on it. So, as far as I'm concerned, reload, stability, range is the total package on this. Unfortunately, I do not have it infused up high enough. Otherwise, I would be using it probably all day in trials. But if another option for machine guns would be Quillam's Terminus is another good one. Other than that, I would say Thunderlord is probably be another popular one, just because a lot of people probably have it from year one and probably have either gotten it from drops or bought it out of the exotic blueprints. Also, we're going to go to rockets now. Truth is probably going to be the heavy hitter for trials, and here's why. This is a year one Truth. I do not have a year two version yet. It has prototype True Seeker, track targets aggressively, and it has grenades and horseshoes. I mean, that's the total package as far as rocket launchers go. It's what you're looking for. If you needed to go a different route, though, anything really with grenades and horseshoes is going to work. As you can see, I have the Suros JLB 47 with grenade and horseshoes. It's got very high blast radius and velocity, which is what you're looking for with rocket launchers. Also, an Ash Factory. As you can see, the blast radius is pretty high up there. Excuse me. The velocity's not that great, but I ended up getting mine with grenades and horseshoes. Also, another very good option is the Future War Cult Vertigo. Let me see if I do have that in the vault here. And this also is a very, very good PvP rocket launcher. As you can see, it has grenades and horseshoes, warhead veneers, high blast radius and velocity, single point sling, javelin. Very good rocket launcher. The only thing that would make this thing better is the payload to go with javelin. Regardless, that is another great rocket launcher you could use. And that's my weapon loadout. I'm going to leave this here. I'm not going to do anything for the Warlock and the Titan because I don't have a lot of gear leveled up and I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. I'll probably play with it a little bit today, but that's just what I will be running with. As far as Trials of Osiris is concerned, I hope this video was helpful. Please remember to hit that like button, rate, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Later.